Oh, good evening, everybody. Welcome to a slightly late running show, and that's my fault because I was telling Wilco a story before we came on live. And by the way, Nick, if you're watching this live in someone else's house, can you make sure you check your WhatsApp? Because otherwise there could be a power cut. Anyway, that's a story for another day, people. If you're interested, drop us an email at longrunshot@gmail.com and we'll let you know what we're talking about. Anyway, tonight, I ain't even got what we're talking about up on the screen. Tonight, we're talking about building a spring training plan. I thought that would be quite a cool one to do because people are looking to spring to do some stuff. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about some other things that I've came up with because I'm a genius. And some of them are very interesting. I'm joined by my dear friends. Young Hayden is back. He's down there in the corner. Hayden's there. And Coach Al's in the house. We've got big Coach Al. She's perfect tonight talking about training plans and stuff. And then Broxbourne's biggest rising star, Mr. Wilkinson's back on. Wilco, separate question. Are you at the Remembrance Run tomorrow in Essex?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
No. Okay. No, I'm working tomorrow.
How are you there?
No, I'm like Wilco, working, but not together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but how cool would that be? Anyway,
I'm in charge, so if I could do with an extra pair of hands out. If you
okay.
And I've just realised I've not put a chat box up either. There we go. So as always, running a tight ship here. I can make it bigger as well, lads. By the way, I worked this out on there. Look,
that's better.
A bit better, isn't it?
Yeah,
I worked that out by accident on the live stream on Monday. Anyway, welcome everybody. If you're joining us live, thanks very much for joining us live. Please get into the chat box and comment and as we rattle through this. You may have noticed if you are watching live, I do have my assistant tonight with me. He's sitting here petrified because there's a lot of helmets setting off fireworks. So I've decided that when I become Prime Minister, and I'd like to get my colleagues, because you would all be on the government, by the way. I'm gonna ban fireworks, but only in you can have it like in a park, but it's got to be organised. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think it's right. I know, but see, I'm talking about you. What happens to dogs and other animals on fireworks night? I think a little bit more consideration needs to be had about that. So when I'm Prime Minister, you're my cabinet. That's the one I was looking for. Just a heads up, you're going to have to push that through for me. Right. So
which cabinet post are we going to get? I'd like to make a picture of Foreign Secretary because we'll make international park runs.
Done, 100%.
Hayden, Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yeah, he can do the money.
I couldn't afford the pay cut, to be fair.
100%. Wilco would be.
He's got to be Home Secretary, isn't he?
Home Secretary. No, is it? Have they got like a lawyer or a legal service?
Can I be out working from home secretary?
They all work from home. Oh, we shouldn't go there. Anyway, Paige, you'll kill me. Okay, right. So we've got to give a shout out to our sponsors, Skechers. Thank you very much, our friends at Skechers, for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Check out the new Aero. Oh, it's not very new now. The Aero lineup at skechers.co.uk. Talking to Skechers, make sure you get ready and get set for the Xmas run. That's going to be huge. We're taking over London in a couple of weeks. You can't now book onto that. We're full, by the way. Massively oversubscribed. So thanks to everybody who has signed up for that. If you do want to book up for something, maybe you're getting a bit twitchy, you can book onto the National Running Show Shakeout Rave Run Carnage that we're going to be causing on Saturday evening after the show. We are live with the team on stage that day. And then in 5 o'clock when the show finishes, we're going to be doing a massive rave run and we will want you there. So thank you very much to the 3,000 people that have already signed up. Make sure that you get involved. Now, guys, I don't know if you saw this, but there's big news coming on the 28th of November. We've got an live episode. We're going to be giving away, let me get it right, 4 London Marathon places live on air and a Brighton Marathon place live on air, courtesy of the greatest running club in this country. I might be a little bit biased. But yes, we've got 4 London Marathon places that we've got to give to our members. And we're going to do that live on air, as we always do. So if you are in the ballot, and Kim's already messaged me, there's a load of them who have, who want some of that action. And we've also got a Brighton place. Now, I must say that 2 of those places, or actually the Brighton one, it's down to have volunteering. And I do want to give them a huge shout out at the end, not the end of the year, but we're getting towards that, for all their efforts this year. And also to Mel and the people who help organise the volunteering as well, because without them we wouldn't be able to give these sort of places away. So thanks to all the team, thanks to all the volunteers this year for doing a cracking job of representing 40 Runs Running Club throughout the whole country. So thank you very much to all of them. Right, now moving on, before we get into, guys, because I've got 2 sort of things before we get into the main dish. There was an article in the Independent newspaper. Now, hands up at you 3. Anybody read the Independent news? No?
Really?
Wilco, you're a journo. No? Anybody in the comments will read the Independent? Anyway, there was an article that says, how old is too old for running?
Oh,
well, yeah, it was actually quite interesting. So again, I'll re-say that again. How old is too old for running? Now, that did get me thinking. Firstly, before we discuss it, I did think to myself, I wonder what my colleagues would look like when they were 75 years old. So I went on our
I know what's coming here. Welcome back.
Soon to be podcast sponsor ChatGPT, because we use it a lot. And I genuinely did this. I went into ChatGPT, and if I could show you the prompt, I would. I wrote back, can you make this person 75 years old? Okay. That's all I did. And it was brilliant what came out. Obviously, I didn't do myself because it's just no fun in that. So here you go. Al, Wilco, you ready?
Yeah,
I've
go
done
on.
you 2 together.
Yeah.
Sorry if you're not watching on the pod. You've got.
We'll be able to tell the difference.
Look at that.
That's.
Yeah,
Wilco, you look like that now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that I asked ChatGPT, Al. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah.
It also weirdly removed your glasses from that picture, which I thought was quite weird. Now that's weird.
I've had laser surgery between now and then.
And then look, I did the same for Hayden. 75
So predictable. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. If I look like that at 75, I've got no complaints.
Basically, that's what he is now. So I did ask, but here's what the article said. To summarise the article, and we'll discuss it quickly. It says, running strengthens joints over time, helping cartilage adapt and stay healthy. It's safe to start running later in life as joints remain adaptable with age. Most injuries come from doing too much too soon, not from running itself. Begin slowly with walking sessions, blah, 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 increase distance. The health benefits of running outweigh the risks when done mindfully. Conclusion, there's no specific age that's too old to run. It depends more on the individual health, fitness level, and joint condition than age itself. Interesting. Now, before I throw it out to you, it did get me thinking. At park run, you see a lot of older people doing park walk, park run, which I think is fantastic, by the way, especially if they're on their own. It gives them an opportunity. What do you think, Wilco? You're nodding away. What do you think about this? That is there an age that's too old for run? And I was talking to a client yesterday who said to me about, and he know he is. And he said to me, before I get too old, I better do this. What do you think about all this sort of stuff?
I think it's good. I think running sort of like fills a hole, because like people would associate perhaps more traditional team sports as something that you do up to a particular time. You might not play football and things like that past sort of like the over age of sort of like your mid-40s. Perhaps you might play veterans football or something like that. And it's sort of like it's become something that you can move into. I mean, I didn't really start running until I think I was 44 when I started. So that was 8 years ago. So, you know, by that time, most of my team sport days were sort of behind me. You know, I wouldn't be playing football and things like that. So I think it's sort of like it fills a great void if people want to be active and find something to do. When also they're a little bit older and they've got a little bit more time in their hands. So I think it fills a void, and I think it's really good.
Al?
Well, as the elder statesman on this call, I didn't start till I was 51 for a start. So agree with Darren. 51's definitely not too old. He's put comments 51. I don't know if that's how old he is, but I guess it comes down to, it's interesting that the article was even thought relevant in terms of it's that challenge. We should be challenging that mindset about healthy aging and physical activity and running and park walking, whatever form you do it, should be part of our national conscious about kind of how we stay healthy for longer. Yeah, it's interesting that they talked about joints and issues because, as a coach, I'm challenging people all the time that I come up against in the supermarket, and they go, "No, I can't run because of my knees." I'm, go, "No, you can, but you've got to go about it the right way." And the article kind of sets out, quite rightly, that it's all about doing it relevant to you and taking it easy. But and I think perhaps the bit that they didn't focus on was the non-physical, the mental, the well-being issues that come from being part of a community. So whether that is turning up every Saturday to Park Walk as part of a park run, or whether it's joining a running club like we've got, or just being in, the environment of the tribe, I don't think you can quantify those in terms of health benefits, because they go beyond your physical well-being and they start to play in your wider well-being as well. So definitely no limits.
Hayden, as I say, someone who's over 70, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, and do you know what? It's quite coincidental. And if this question comes up in community groups, on chat groups or anything, especially anything before he runs, and I always refer back to the same person. He's going to get sick of it. It's like I'm picking on him, but he's actually in the chat comments tonight saying good evening. We've got a gentleman called Dennis Ceramic, and he won't mind me saying that he is older than all of us, but literally he has been running for absolute years, and he's a fantastic runner. He's in absolute amazing shape. I think a lot of that, the way he is, his mindset, just everything about him is fantastic. And I put all that down to running. And he's been running for years, like what Al and Wilco said, they started running a bit later on in life. So you're always going to get that sort of placebo effect. You're going to get better and better your first few years. So you're obviously going to start getting better. If you start running at 51, time you're 53, you're probably a better runner. But with Dennis, he was running such a long time ago that it's going to be hard for him to get better and better over time. It's just naturally he's going to get a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more slower. But I can tell you now, I think it was last week at the Super Halves when he collected his sixth medal, his sixth Super Half, by the way, which is a fantastic achievement. He went out and run like a half marathon. It wasn't a PB, but I don't think he'd run that sort of time for like 20 odd years. So this whole thing about age being a barrier and that, it absolutely isn't. And going back to what you said about parkrun, at Bushy, I'm not sure if they have other parkruns, they've got a club called Octogenarians. Is it Octogenarians?
The 80 plus club, isn't it? Yeah.
You've got to be over 80 to be in this club. Yeah. Once every like 3 months, they all gather and they all get together, and it's incredible to see. And some of them, they're not there just to muck about and just to have a little walk and like just say hi to their mates. They're there and they're putting in a shift. It's incredible to see and absolutely inspiring. And for me, Dennis, who listens to the show every single week, he is an absolute inspiration for me to look at and think, when I'm his age, I'd love to be in that shape. 100%.
When you this, I also want to give a shout out to Ian Carnegie, who just went sub 5 in Yorkshire as well.
Paul Massey's another one in the club. These we call them older gentlemen, but they literally look up to them. They're beacons. They're just proving this age is not a barrier at all.
Yeah, no, honestly, these guys and girls. Oh, I'm having a debate with Buds, by the way, at the moment. But yeah, they're just so genuinely inspiring. Like honestly, there's no way I'm going to make that age. She would have killed me by then. But it's true. And it's a side note. A close friend of mine is no longer with us, actually. But he had a really good evening. Slightly unrelated, but he was a cowboy, and he spent all that time in terms of the wellness and the well-being, Al, like in the mental side, physical, from doing an active job. Like anybody who works on a ranch will know, with horses and things like that, it is a very active job. But the wellness and the well-being from being out there, and he lived for donkey's years. And I tell you now, I put that down purely to that. And so I would think, parkrun needs to be commended. It's a shame they didn't get mentioned in that article, because I see it the weeks I go to parkrun, the slightly older person, doing the park walking and all that sort of thing. Again, it just brings a barrier down. That might be the only social contact they're getting. And as you say, it's well-being, wellness. They're out there doing stuff. I think it's all
about finding your thing, isn't it? It might not be running. It could be something else. You find something that you can, boost your own mental well-being. It brings you into contact socially with people. Then it's going to be a good thing, because there are no barriers to age and what you can do to be sociable and get out and see people and do things. Whatever it is. Our thing happens to be running. But there's so many other activities that people can do and so many other groups in communities. So have a look and see what's going on in your town and village and see what you fancy.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Just one more shout out for Dennis. I think he's one of the rare 40 runners that probably has been alive to see Spurs win the championship.
All right, let's just stop that.
He's that old.
All right, Al, let's just. I was just.
He's getting very cocky, isn't he?
Ain't it great to have Al back?
Cocky.
Right, next thing. This is an interesting subject, right? And this was sort of again. It was on my what do you call it? Feed, I suppose. Is it a feed or like on your Instagram sort of thing? Someone was talking about this, and it made me think, this is interesting. Point of discussion. Now, signs you need a running coach. Think about that. Someone was saying about they wasn't sure whether, and I think a lot of this comes down to where we've had like apps and stuff like that, right? And the people have taken that next step forward. Obviously, you get plans from all over the place. You get plans from people who aren't qualified to write them and stuff like that. Good luck with that. But it did make, and this I can't remember who it was, and I wish I had it. And I probably should have referenced it. But then again, I was running late tonight. My bad. But they were talking about, say, the sort of sign. Do I need like a running coach? And there is, and it actually made me think. And I put these down. I'm going to tell them, and then anybody resonate with this, anybody listening live or anybody on the pod, you're not seeing any progress, right?
Yeah, plateau.
Despite consistent training, your race times or fitness have plateaued, and you're unsure how to break through. You lack structure or direction. Okay. You're training hard, but without a clear plan, unsure when to push, when to rest, when to peak for races. You struggle with motivation and accountability. And then to counter that, so obviously the idea of the coach, amongst other things, is basically to counter all of that. So provide that guidance, that accountability, that and all that sort of stuff, keep you consistent and confident. That's what made me think about it. There was like 3 or 4 things. Again, I'll read them back out. You're not seeing any progress, right? You're trying to be consistent as you can, but your race times and your fitness are just plateaued. So again, you're not seeing that progress, and you're unsure of what to do next. You lack that structure or direction. You're training hard, but without a clear plan, and unsure when to push, not to push, and all that sort of stuff. And you're not seeing any breakthrough, and you lack that structure or direction. Wilco, thoughts?
I can see. I mean, I've never had a running coach, well, apart from doing the sessions that we used to do down at Hartford. So I can see. I can imagine these are really common things that lots of people go through, and then it becomes a motivation of how much you want to progress, how much where your priorities lie. I think when you're looking forward to, are you going to sort of like, do you really want to push and break those barriers and do that sort of thing, or do you want to organize yourself? I mean, I always get a lot of pleasure out of the whole experience of sitting down with a blank piece of paper and thinking, okay, what did I do last time? What did I not do well? What did I do this? What should I try on this occasion? Because my aims have always been quite general when they come to races. I don't go into them saying, oh yeah, I want to get X time, because I'm always mindful of the fact I don't know what the conditions are going to be like on the day and things like that, and I don't want to invest too much into that sort of thing. So generally, when I do a marathon plan, I'm thinking what's going to give me the best chance of coping with anything that might appear on the day. So consequently, the direction's not sort of pinpointed in particular areas. Do you see what I mean by that? That perhaps a coach would be more structured. I can see how some people need to have that formation in their life. I don't work a 9-to-5 job as well, so I can flip about and do different sorts of bits and bobs, and I quite enjoy the process.
Al?
I've got 2 points to kind of add to that, really. I think there's another criteria And there's something in there for me about if you've struggled with injury during a training block because you've pushed it and you've kind of just, you've just read the plan and it's up in your mileage and up in your intensity, and you're putting yourself at risk, perhaps unnecessarily. The second element, and again, this isn't a dig at all the AIs and all the
no, they do a good job.
But running, we'll probably all put a slightly different percentage on it, but let's be honest, it's about 90% mental. So having a coach to be able to talk to when you're having your doubts, when you're having your down days, sometimes, when you're feeling really good and want to know whether I should be pushing it off, can you get that out of a static training plan? Can the coach be just there as some wise words? So I think supporting the mental approach to that training block or whatever is quite often overlooked in terms of what we do as coaches. So,
absolutely. Actually, he's commented, and he might kill me, but Gavin, I coach Gavin, and Gavin just ran sub 4 in Chicago. But more importantly, the time's irrelevant. He actually had, I would say, near perfect training block, and he's been struggling with injuries and things like that, like persistent injuries, persistent sort of issues throughout his training, and all that sort of stuff. I just gave him clear direction, that accountability, clear structure, made sure he wasn't doing too much too soon, make sure he wasn't running too fast. We did all the other bits and things like that. And the rest of it, he crushed. And it was simple things, but it was that human element more than anything else. Yeah. And like he's just said, look, I can agree with all those, and that's why I picked on him. Shouldn't have said anything, Gavin. But it was I didn't reinvent the wheel there. All I did was, you say, Al, is I gave him that human side of things. And that's 90% of my job, really, with clients, is the human element. Yeah, I've got, unbelievable technology in that lot. But if I'm not talking to my clients regularly, right, what's the point? Because they're going through it, aren't they?
I think as well that you have to have, you have to have somebody. It's very easy in the social media world, and everybody's really encouraging and all that sort of thing. But sometimes you can lay yourself down, and everybody just tells you how wonderful you are. And sometimes you need somebody just to say, "Hold on a minute," just perhaps tell you something that you don't want to hear, and something like that. I can imagine that that's really helpful to coaching, because it's everybody. In the social media age, we are prone to doing it. If we've got, people like to have everybody say, "Oh, I hope you're all right. I hope everything's like, well, you're doing so brilliant," and all that sort of thing, which many times you are, but sometimes you just need that kick up the backside, don't you? And just sort of like I think that's where a coach would come in really handy, just to give you some really honest feedback.
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone's different, right? Everybody, just talking about myself, they come with different reasons why they want to hunt you out, right? It could be a million different things. Like I said, it could be the injury thing, could be a specific goal, could be anything, right? And it doesn't matter. But it's as you say, I think what Al was saying is that human. Hayden, you've not really you had the chance to just on this subject before we get into the main stuff. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think there's a few elements to it, and there's a few elements that are elephants in the room as well with it, and they are big ones. And firstly, and one of the biggest ones for a lot of people is affordability and money. You've said it in the 100%. Past, and you're quite open about it. To get a coach, to get a good coach, to get someone to get the job you want done right, it's not cheap.
No, I start at 50 quid. I start at 50 quid a month, which is cheap, right? There's a geezer charging a lot more than that and doing a lot less. Like, so I will have, can be weekly, twice a week, monthly calls face to face with clients, depending on what level they are. But literally, like this, and some people, they're paying more than that for less than that. And so I'm quite cheap, and that starts at 50 quid for the basic plan a month. Yes. That's a lot of money.
It is. And for me, I wouldn't personally, I'm not sure, never say never, but I haven't got that urge to want to get a coach, mainly from the reason that I believe if you have a target time in mind, you can, as you said, you can Google it, you can go on these online coaches, you can chat
AI, mate.
AI to work out how you can get to that target. If you want to run a sub 25-minute 5K, you can put in, you can go over about 5 or 6 different platforms and take the best out of all the bits and think, that's how I'm going to get it. But as you said before, you and Al touched on it, you won't get that human element. You could join a running club, which will give you that element of people's advice around you and support. And accountability and support network. Yeah, accountability is a massive thing as well. And for me, that's going to be my last point. And this isn't being disrespectful to running coaches at all. But for me, the number one reason people have success with a running coach is accountability. Whether that's accountability because you think, I want to get my money's worth, I'm paying this money, I want to make sure I do what I'm doing, otherwise it's a waste of money. Or if it's, I want to please my coach. Or I don't want my coach sitting there thinking, I have all these clients, I'm the worst one. They're all different elements of accountability, but they all work, and psychologically they get into your brain. And for me, the more people that go with a specific coach, everyone's not outdoing each other, but they're thinking, tonight I'm going out, I don't care if the rain is awful, how cold it is, I've got to go out, otherwise I'm not going to hit that target, I won't be ready for this. And if you're ready for that and you can take that on board, and that's your goal and that's what you want to do, brilliant. But for some people, it can become a mental challenge, to be fair.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? It was something that really sprung out at me on the old socials. In terms of it, it was yeah. Don't get me started on influencers becoming running coaches and all that. Oh, that's another topic for another day.
That goes back to what Wilco said. He said you can go and get the wrong advice from the wrong people. Everyone sort of seems to know.
It's when people who are unqualified start talking about heart rate and stuff like this, and you're just like, oh.
And also, I find you always get that element as well. I don't know if you guys find as well. You must think like the fastest guy in the club or the fastest guy in the session, he knows the most. That's so much crap. I just find that's a little bit of an inbred thing. People think he must know so much because he's so fast and he does this. Well, no, he might not know anything. Just goes out and runs. The slowest person might have been coaching or might have been around the running environment and community for years and have that unbelievable wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, very much so. And I spoke about this before. I can't remember what. Probably I was just ranting and raving like usual. But I think someone else. But basically, you know, there's so many online coaches around now because you can get a bit of paper for nothing. But for me, if I was hunting somebody out, I would look for somebody like me, who's coached like physically 1-to-1, like who understands the runner on a 1-to-1 level. Do you know what I mean? Because anybody can go on ChatGPT, get a plan and sell it to you and get you to download it and follow it, right? The fine tuning, the experience, as you say, of that person who may be coaching at your club, who might not be the fastest person there, but has got a depth of knowledge because they've worked with runners 1-to-1 and they've got that hardcore feedback. That is worth its weight in gold, and that's the difference.
And the human qualities as well.
Yeah,
the qualities to be able to talk to people, and to listen to people, and to empathise with people. You don't have to be a 2:20 marathon runner to do that.
Oh no, very much no. No, I say everybody's different, but yeah, in a way, I kind of really respect. Not kind of really, but I really do respect. You know, those sort of old school coaches. It was funny. I was thinking, I saw like the long jacket, the old baseball cap, older boy like that, and I just thought, you know what? This geezer's learned his trade the hardcore way. He had runs, and I respect that. Do you know what I mean? And Christ knows what. To me, I wasn't thinking, oh, I wonder if he's a 2:20 marathon runner. I was like, oh, that's a wealth of knowledge there.
But
you know what I mean?
You watch the Olympics or you watch any athletics meetings, these guys that win the races, these fast cases, they go into the crowd to see their coach afterwards and that. No disrespect to their coach. Not many of them are under the age of 50. They're like 50 plus and they're like, you can see they've done their time.
Experience.
That's exactly what it's all about.
They care more about for us then, Will, me and you.
Yeah. I was going to say, and the thing is, it was the same. Yeah, it's the same. Wilco, we'll go back to that picture. That could be you with your running coach hat on.
Yeah, all those couch to 5Kers in Broxton.
Yeah, he's a good lad. No, it's an interesting thing, is it? Somebody
and it's interlinked again, like you said. Just circle back to the beginning of the show about the age and running and everything else. It's all interlinked and it's all connected. It's experience you can't just buy, you can't just pick up overnight. Definitely.
Well, experience, I think, as a runner, you know, I think we underestimate how much experience actually enables you and helps you. Again, going back to the coaching side of things, we pull on experience. We may do certain things for certain reasons. I may put somebody through something purely to get that experience because we can then lean on that. And we're always learning, whether it's in a session, whether it's in a race or whatever. But that experience, and I'll go back, just keep it to myself in terms of the marathon distance. I'm still learning in the marathon distance because I still, you know, the experience you get from every one you do, and it doesn't matter whether it's half marathon, 10K, whatever, every race, you're gaining something else that you're learning about yourself. You're like, right, well, I've really cocked that fueling up. Oh, I went out, did this. I learned from Chicago. You know, I wrote everything down. Or didn't follow what was on my hands or whatever. I can't remember. I did something wrong. But the point is that you learn, and experience, I think, is just as important in a way, or it can be a bigger factor in a way than some of the work you might do in the gym.
Yeah. So, you know, Hassan, so I'm not sure of the first time, I can't remember it now, the marathon runner, she's like a revelation. She's come on the scene the last couple of years. She won London a couple of years ago, and when she actually ran London, it was her first marathon, and she stopped and she started fueling, and the runner next to her, she offered her fuel, and she was like, what are you doing? Don't do this. She stopped and stretched because she had cramp, and she went on a one London marathon. Really inexperienced. And since then, she's been so dynamic and so ad hoc. She went out and absolutely wiped the floor with everyone at Sydney. She had other marathons where she's come from half a kilometre behind in the last half a mile and just taking the person on the line. And in New York this year, I was watching in New York, she went out there, she went to stay with the pack, and everyone was like, everyone be afraid of her. You could just tell the experience wasn't there. She caught up with the pack, she dropped off. She caught up with the pack, she dropped off. Then it got to a point where she dropped off and she thought, it's just gone now, it's too far. Don't get me wrong, yeah, there's loads of elements to it. She runs.
Oh, yeah.
But exactly what you said. She's an incredible runner, but she just hasn't got the experience to be that one that's going to win every single solitary race.
She won the Olympic marathon 5 days after winning the 10,000 meters. She's
so dynamic. She's incredible to watch. I love watching her. She's brilliant.
But then you look what Kipchoge done later on in life in terms of, you know, the times he was running was later on in his career. Because of the experiences.
Well, they all move up, don't they? It's elite marathon running. It's an old man's game, really. You know, a lot of them are sort of
but some of them struggle.
Post 35. Mo did.
Mo struggled big time, and he came out openly admitted it. He said, I struggled massively with the marathon, like massively. All right. Again, they train from a young age, usually, you know, into a certain area, okay? Because that's where they're really like excelling. So, but to go up to that sort of competitive distance, it's hard. And as you say, the experience that you need to have that knowledge of how to train. Yeah, he's got coaches and stuff like that. But when you're on your own in the race.
And Kipchoge's self-admitted just now, he's only just admitted he's actually a proper runner now. He's got his 6 stars. Did you see his interview? He said, I'm actually a proper marathon runner now because I've got my 6 stars. You're the most iconic marathon runner ever. But because he's got those 6 stars now, he figures I'm only now.
He's now the fastest. He's the fastest, isn't he? His average is 2:05 across all the 7 stars or whatever. So
he ain't done Brighton or Yorkshire though, is he?
This is true, Wilco. This is true, Wilco.
He ain't done the Wilco majors.
No, but there was rumours that he was attending Broxbourne Satellite Group next week.
He'd be more than welcome. It's Chippy Run, so he can come with us.
That's why he's coming, apparently. So just pre-warn the Chippy. You got him coming along. Right, okay. Interesting convo, that, wasn't it? Didn't expect to go along that long, I'll be honest. Okay, right. We did, and actually we're all right for time. We've got plenty of time. We did what I wanted to talk about building a training plan, funnily enough, and it sort of leads on to all this sort of stuff. It's almost like there was some structure to this week's show. Be fair.
It's because ours on.
It's because ours on. I didn't want to get bollocking. Although I didn't expect to have the dog sitting on my lap the whole episode. To be honest with you. It's like I don't know what's warmer, Nick putting the heating on the snide, right, or having buds on my lap the whole time. I'm not really sure what's the hottest at the moment, but don't matter. Again, this is all your idiot's fault out there who's blowing up fireworks. You've all got yourselves to blame. Okay, so spring marathons, spring half marathons, it's all coming your way. It's been 10Ks as well. Now is the time, if you've not done it, to start thinking about that training plan. All right? We've just said about getting a coach. Most people can't afford a coach. They're bloody expensive. Start 50 quid. There you go, right? A lot of people can't afford to go and get the apps like Cooper and stuff like that. Although, you're welcome, by the way. There's a free trial on 40runs.com/Cooper. Get 2 weeks there and a discount. Go and check that out. But anyway, the point is, it's bloody expensive. All this running is free is a total load of bollocks because it costs you money, right? But you can, like Wilco, build your own. So I've wrote some stuff down, as always, to sort of go through, okay? So as a starting point for your plan, before you get into anything, and I'm looking at, Hayden, should we pick on Wilco tonight?
Yeah, why not?
It's fun, isn't it? It's easy to do. Al, we're picking on Wilco because Ben's not here. So we'll write in Wilco's plan. Let's do it like this. So Wilco, the first thing me and Al want you to do, Hayden is your conditioning coach, right?
Yeah.
And Al's lead coach, I'm his bitch, right? But what we thought me and Al would do, we would reassess. We want you, to reassess your baseline. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Maybe you should explain for the viewers and the listeners, and then they'll get a grip of that.
Well, basically, before we get stuck in, before we dive in, oh look, the boss is home. Right, see that? See that? The woman who feeds him is home. 2 secs, bud. I've got to talk to the boys. Basically, Wilco, we want to take stock of where you're at in terms of fitness and everything. I want you to do a quick self-assessment. I'll pick that up while I let Buds downstairs.
So, where I think we're trying to get you to, Wilco, is I kind of understand where your general level of fitness is. And I'm not talking about VO2 max, because that all gets a bit technical, but it's about understanding, if you're going out for a run and we're saying you're going to do 30, 40 minutes run, what pace can you run? What effort can you put in? How are you going to feel? Because you want to kind of be able to do that baseline run and know that you've still got a bit in the tank, that you can go up through your gears and stuff like that. So it's going out and doing that first run. There's also another element to it, but we'll come on to that later. So that's kind of where
okay. So my base level speed would be approximately sort of like 11-minute miles, perhaps 7-minute kilometers. Aiming, if I'm doing a marathon, I would try and perhaps do 10-minute miles. So if I was looking for sort of like sub 4:30,
we're just looking to set realistic goals. Pace, okay, it's more about where your fitness is. Right, Hayden, this is a question for you. This takes you back to your training that you did, your England athletics training. If I said to Wilco, we want to set SMART goals, would you know what they are?
I would, yes. Specific?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah.
Measurable?
Yeah.
Attainable?
Close. Achievable, yeah.
Achievable.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. Considering your age.
I'm going to forget R, aren't I?
I know. It's hard. Relevant.
Relevant.
And the last one
is I can't remember. It's completely gone from my head.
Time.
Easy.
Time. Yeah,
time. I'll put you
on
the spot now. Fair play. I wouldn't remember. I've got them written down in front of me. I don't listen because I've got ADHD in class.
No, but it's I think it's an acronym that's used across the board for a lot of things, not just running.
Yeah. We do use it in running, but as you say, it's across the board. Clear examples of this, just to define this, right? Run a 10K by June. Lose 5 pounds of fat, build muscle in 8 weeks or something, train 4 days a week consistently. That's the sort of thing we're talking about here. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound example. So, Wilco, when you're writing your plan, we need you to put some SMART goals in there. And I want you to say, by the end of this whatever week, I want to have done that, and it's got to be, relevant. It's got to be measurable. So, again, time and that sort of thing. And it's got to be quite specific. That makes sense?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Al, you want to jump in on SMART, or you're all right?
I think we covered SMART. Yeah.
Okay. Very smart of us. I'm just impressed that you remembered him. Okay. Wilco, you also, in this plan, I want you to, me and Al, sorry, Al speaking there. We want you to balance the training elements. Do you, any idea?
Yes. Different paces, different speeds, different exercises.
Close, yeah. I would say I would want a plan from you, and I would say to anybody, by the way, imagine you're Wilco, as you're listening to this. We want the plan to include some variety, I would say, but more importantly, strength, cardio, mobility, and obviously, because it's so important, recovery. You have to think about the recovery side of things. So, Wilco, for example, bit of strength, a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
Your cardio, 2 to 4. Obviously, mix the intensity around. Mobility, especially we talk about age boys. 10 minutes YouTube mobility video ain't a bad thing to do in the morning. And if you're balancing all of that out, you're probably offsetting some risk against injury, and you're maximising that progress.
Mm.
Al, fair play on that one?
Yeah, and I think this is, without repeating the conversation we just had about whether
No.
you should have a coach or not, it's about then being able to measure that intensity of all those, because some of those by definition are low intensity. So you might be doing yoga for your mobility and stuff like that. That's low intensity. Your running can be a mixture of intensities. So your long, easy run, maybe even slower than that pace you named. But then, your faster speed work, you want to be blowing out your backside, during that session. So it's been able to recognize what your different intensity levels is across that whole program, not just the running bit, but the whole program, because then that plays into the recovery bit, which by definition is low intensity.
Can I just ask a really quick question with regards to that? So would you advise, if money was no object, is there a massive difference, would you say, in having, if you just set out like different workout and you said, right, so for your strength training, go and get yourself a strength coach. For your yoga, make sure you go and see a yoga teacher. Make sure you go and see a Pilates instructor. Make sure you've got me as a running coach. Would you say the benefits are massively, massively above saying just having a running coach that can give you advice on all the bits and pieces? In your opinion?
My answer to that is it all comes down to good form. Whether you're going to do Pilates or strength and lifting and or running. If you do it badly, are you really getting the benefits of having that mixed program? So again, if money's no object and you can afford all those coaches, what they should be working on, first off, it's not about how fast and how much, it's are you doing it with good form? Because it's good form that will then actually deliver the benefits, because as you go through, you're increasing your speed or lifting more or getting more flexible, then that's when the benefits kick in. So if you don't get your basics right, then you're going to waste time and potentially money. Yeah,
I'll give you a real life example, Hayden.
Go on,
in
Chris.
terms of that, I'll give you a real life example. Look at Ben. I wasn't the difference. Obviously, he's the main difference because he's got to do the training. He's got to have the output. He's the one who's got to perform on the day. He's got to be mentally tough to do it. But the biggest thing that helped Ben was his PT.
No. So you're almost indirectly answering my question. How do you know that? Why?
Why? Because the results came.
But why is that not from you as a running coach?
No, because he was stronger. He was stronger.
Right.
So physically, he was stronger. So all his muscles that we need him to work and use, but also his recovery was better because he was stronger. So he was able to take increased mileage. He was able to take increased speeds because he was stronger. He developed his muscles and everything else to be able to recover quick enough because he was fit enough, let's say, to be able to then go and do those sessions again. Does that make sense?
It does. You're almost like, so the running coach is almost the driver in the middle, where you've got these other objects on the outside, and you're assessing.
Because
so you're giving it faster paces.
I'll make you laugh. Ben was telling me again. He's going to kill me for talking out of school. But he had his PT had a guy that was asking the PT running questions. But the guy was like, I'm not really sure about this sort of thing because I wouldn't. Yeah, we can guide to a degree, but our key areas of excellence are X, Y, Z. But in terms of that, I would say, in terms of real life, like for most people who listen to this podcast, know Ben. The reason he did so well, other than himself, because again he has to do it. Again, I can guide and I can give him the sessions and I can do the human stuff of and we can ease off and we can put down and we can tailor sessions to this and we can look for certain weeks to peak and all that sort of stuff, all the nuances that I get into, looking at his terrible running form that he's got that we are actually working on. Because even the other day I was running along with him and he'll tell you this, I was filming him and I gave him some, like I said to him, this is what you need to work on in the gym. Go and speak to your PT, your left hip. I can see it. And I slowed it down. Again, I started geeking out with lines and all this sort of stuff. Again, that goes back to what I was telling you about being a running coach and physically training people, not just doing this online rubbish that everybody can do. And then he's now taken that to his PT and they're working on that. And do you know what? That is going to make such a difference to him because that's going to strengthen that up. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to make him faster because he's going to be able to recover because he's not imbalanced. And we're working on that side of things. And when you get down to running sort of 250 marathons and obviously the other distances, that's where we're starting to look for the finer margins. Yeah, so form, like ours, ours talking about in terms of the form, comes massively into it. If this PT can work on that left-hand hip, yeah, and the weakness is probably somewhere else, he'd have to tell you where it is, then that, if we can strengthen that up and that biomechanics improves, he's going to become more efficient. He's going to cover the ground better, more efficiently, and he's then going to be able to recover quicker because he's not doing it. And then when we want him to peak, we can get him to peak. That's a real-time example of how it gets together. Right, let's scoot through this. I've just seen the time. And Nick's downstairs. She's probably missed me. What? Funny enough, look. Wilco, schedule workouts. Schedule recovery like you would a workout in your plan. Is that something you do?
Yeah, I always used to sort of like do a like on a Monday, I'd do a really easy 3 mile sort of jog, and I used to have Fridays off. Always never used to train on Friday. Yeah,
I mean, rest days, as we all know, they're not lazy days, right? They're sounded terrible, I say, but like growth days in a way, right? It's that time to let everything catch up, right? But you must include like movement in that, right?
And also with regard to that as well, keeping an eye on my sleep and trying to get a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Just moving on to the next one because training with purpose, not randomness. Now we spoke again. We talk about a little bit about this with the coaching thing. It's funny because I've got a video coming Sunday's vlog. For anybody who's interested, is all about the sort of just a couple of things that I really like hone in on for Chicago, right? And one of them was that realization of training with more of a purpose in certain, like, so making sure every session's this and everything I went and did was this more meaningful and more that thing about it. So for you, Wilco, when you're writing your plan, I would say, making sure each session or workout can be anything. Again, it could be a rest day, but it has a purpose. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like today's my rest day, so I'm going to do this. In terms of, I'm going to do 10 minutes of mobility. I'm going to do, or I'm going to go and do a high effort. I know I'm going to have to max out here, but I'm going to commit to it. And instead of just doing some of that randomness, like, oh yeah, it says I'm going to do this, and then you start, and then you
I'm pretty good at this. I don't sort of like just go, I'll just go out for a run and see where I go. I'm always sort of like, look at, right, okay, 5 miles, how quick am I going to do it? What time am I going to be sort of like coming back? Where am I going to go? Which is the best route to go? And plan it all like that. So I'm pretty good at when it comes to actually being purposeful with my sessions, rather than just sort of like, I'm just going to go out for a run and then turn around and just come back again.
Yeah, it's good. I'll kind of come to you with the next one, which is making sure in that plan, he's got a little bit about fueling and energy and recovery and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How do you hold that?
Well, I was going to pick up on that in the sense of, and it ties into the recovery rest days. And I think a lot of people struggle to feel that they're wasted days, or a recovery day or a rest day is a wasted day because I'm not pushing myself. But actually, what I was going to say is the recovery day should focus on all those things that you've just mentioned there. So stay hydrated, because if you're not hydrated, next time you are going to go out on your run, you're going to struggle. Look at your fueling and look at your diet. And again, just because you're having an easy day, take responsibility and, be mindful of what you're eating. A lazy day isn't necessarily a good day if you've got a bag of chips and a packet of donuts. So the reason they're kind of playing on those recovery days is because it sets the base for when you are back on plan, when you are tackling those intensities, that you've done everything right across the piece. So needs to be factored in for your plan, but actually it should be across your kind of lifestyle while you're training. And that's a big commitment. Not all of us can stay motivated and that.
I do think that my work lifestyle suits my training lifestyle, because I work in a thing where I have deadlines at the end of the day. Everything has to be done. I can't get over, I can't leave things till tomorrow. It all has to be done before I shut the computer off. And I think I get into that with my running as well. So I don't put off stuff to, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it the next day. It's stuff like that. If it's down and we're doing it today, then it's happening today. And I think that because I've got that mentality through my work life, I think that helps.
Hayden, when Wilco's writing his spring plan, how much should he adjust for weather and environment and stuff like that?
He's doing a spring plan, you're saying?
Yeah, spring plan. Well, everyone listen to this. If you're listening to this in June because you're trying to catch up on the 400 episodes, just skip this one. It's total shit. It's relevant for you. We're talking about spring. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so if I put myself in Wilco's position, for me, I probably wouldn't at all. The only thing I'd be mindful about is the fact is always, if you're going to start running after work, it's always going to be dark. So that's always a factor to maybe think about routes and things like that. But that aside, being a spring marathon with regards to temperature, it wouldn't really bother me. If you flip it in reverse and you start talking about doing an autumn marathon, training through the summer, then I think it becomes a little bit of a different conversation. And it's specifically if you're living in a hotter country, or we had summers like we have here, and maybe you need to have something in there just as a backup to think maybe I won't be able to hit this mileage every single week due to the fact that this is a peak time in July, or I'm going on a holiday in August, etc. But for me, training for a spring marathon, so training this sort of time of year, the only thing I would take into consideration, in fact, the darkness. Obviously, if we're going to start getting snow and ice and things like that, but you almost can't plan for that. And that's something, as you come back to before, adaptability. You need to be adaptable with it.
Also, it's, really, unless it's really icy or there's 6 inches of snow, then I'll run outside. It's not really an issue. And also, sometimes we talk about the environment. Also, I live on my own as well. So sometimes sometimes I think, I will go to the gym and do 5 miles on a treadmill just to be around people. Have a bit of not social interaction, because I won't talk to them, but just be around people and sort of like get out the house and do that. Sense. So I'm not immune to doing that either.
The next the sort of we got 2 more. The last one is for Wilco. I think I'd be interested to get your point of view, and actually Hayden as well. I would say to track your progress, but not weekly. Now, when I write plans for people, I look at them over a 14-day period, roughly. Depending on the individual, everybody's different, right? Every person is very different. But I've learned that to get the best out of my athletes, usually 14 days is a good period to see where we're moving, what mistakes we're making, and those kind of adaptations are happening, right? It's a longer period in terms of the cycle and things like that. But for me, when I'm tracking progress, in general, I'm looking over a 2-week period, and I build the plans based around kind of almost 2-week blocks. Yeah. And that's just something I've learned, I've picked up over time from the athletes that I've trained. But what I would say within that progress, and however you feel comfortable, I would set out before you start the plan that you've written yourself, is to establish how you're going to benchmark, how you're going to log your progress to yourself. Now, everybody's different on that. Al's brilliantly said in the past about having his own book and writing it down, and Hayden's got a secretary that keeps all his notes for him, and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I would say it's really important to track it, not just like, oh, I've done 52 miles this week. What your energy levels are like. How long is it taking you to recover from X, Y, Z? How bad were the DOMs from the gym? All that kind of stuff, I think is key. Al, what's your thoughts on this?
I broadly agree, but I'm going to put a slightly different slant on it, because first of all, progress is not linear. So any snapshot is only going to tell you, certain things. Where I think I'm probably finessing it a little bit is I think there is some value in looking at it session by session, in terms of if you've tried to set a session with purpose, did you achieve it? And I'm not talking about pace and time. It's I went out to run hard at a and intensity, did I achieve that? And if I didn't, what was the factors that stopped me? Was it just I was having a bad day, the weather was too hot, kids got in the way, whatever. So there's the kind of doing that immediate analysis of, did I get out of it what I wanted? But then I'm then stepping back significantly, and it might be more than a fortnight gap to kind of go, where's my trends? What's the trajectory? Am I going in the right direction? Have I gone too faster than I thought, or am I not quite achieving? So I think there's that balance. But the point is, at any given day, you're not necessarily going to know until you do step back, in terms of, because progress is not linear. Just because you've done X doesn't mean to say what is going to happen. So
yeah, fair points. Hayden, anything to add on this? How did you track progress other than whether you've BQ'd? Is there another way that you?
So to be fair, I'm a little bit. This day and age with the coaching, it's a lot more dynamic. As you said, you're writing plans on weekly, bi-weekly, 14 days, 28 days. And some of your clients won't know what they've got coming up in 3 weeks' time, because you're so closely involved with them and you're tweaking everything as it goes. For me, probably because I haven't got a running coach, pretty old school. At the start of a block, if I really want to have a real good block, I'd have my whole 16-week plan, but I'll put in points of assessment. So after 4 weeks, I have to write the 16 week plan out, because I'll have races, I'll have family events, I'll have work commitments. So I need to know what long runs I want to do. Exactly. I want to work backwards. So I'll always put in every 4 weeks that assessment. So I think after 4 weeks, on one of my long runs should be at least, an 18 miler, and I want to run at least 10 miles of that at my goal pace, which I'm setting. And if I do that and I don't achieve that, and like Al says, I look back at it and think, why didn't I? I don't sack it off and think, right, take my goal pace down. That was an absolute cock up. I'll start again. I look at why. I look at what happened the day before. I look at how I was feeling at the time. Maybe let's just carry on with where I am now and reassess this in 2 weeks' time. But I do like to have like the 4 week chunks. So I always have the marathon over the 4 months, so 16 weeks. So every 4 weeks, I think to myself, and that 4 weeks, and that it's normally based on the long run. I do all the work up to the long run and think, I benchmark my progress on the long run. I work hard during the week doing the sessions that I know will get me to that long run stage, and I do benchmark it again on the long run. If I have 2 weeks in a row where I don't hit the paces I want to on that long run, or it doesn't feel easy when I'm doing that easy long run, then I'll have the questions come in, and then I start to reassess. And worst case scenario, I look back and I readjust all the paces. I adjust the times, and I drop back everything, ultimately dropping back my ultimate goal.
Interesting.
I do like to, if I'm in a block, like a marathon block, and it will be this year because I'm doing Paris this year, so I'll start.
Total waste of time.
Start training.
You've got to bring your own water.
Yeah.
You know that, didn't you?
Right. But I've prepared. I've got myself my own belt and everything. I'm all over this.
I thought you was going to say you got your own tank that's going to come with you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna carry it like a milk crate.
If anyone don't know what I'm talking about, they said that you got next year's marathon.
You got to bring your own cup. Yeah, you got to bring
your own cup for the water.
Bring your own bottle. Anyway, the point I was making.
How much are they charging you for that? How much are they charging you for that?
Oh, but you can't put a price on experiences, mate.
You can't put a price on epicness.
Oh, this is the man. This is the man that has a go at me when I chase world major places. It's a corporate thing. Why are you chasing them? Don't go
I've never been to Paris. I've never been to Paris. No one's going to take me. I might as well do it. Anyway. Put a couple of half marathons in me plan.
Get back. What's the question?
I mean, in that plan, I'll have a half marathon at Cambridge, I'll have a half marathon at Watford, and they'll both be good sort of like guides of how I'm ticking along, and I'll look into them pretty extensively afterwards and see what's happened.
Look, the last thing I say for Wilco for your plan is, and it's obvious.
Bring a cup.
Yeah, other than make sure over the next 16 weeks you go shopping enough to get yourself some cups to take to bleeding Paris with you, cheap bastards. But it's he's off. I'm upset. He's got to get a cup. He's got to get some water. Look. What's that? Oh, I'm not being funny. That ain't going to be. Oh God, he's showing up a water belt, by the way.
Look, you fill it up at different stations, mate. You don't have to take it. It's not race across the world when you only get so much budget.
Won't have time. The speed you're going to be going around there after this training plan we've written you are not going to have time to start cooking about filling bowls of water up. Anyway.
Don't worry, mate. I'll go have a wonderful time.
For your £3,000 Paris marathon with no water. The last thing I was going to say is when you're writing this plan, Wilco.
Yeah.
Firstly, don't ask me to help you because I'm too busy. And secondly,
I wouldn't dare.
keep it fun. And I think this goes to anybody, right? When you're writing these plans out, it can be quite overwhelming. You go, bloody hell, that's 20 weeks of hard work there. Looks a bit lively. Try and make it fun somehow. Try and keep it fun. Mix up the sessions with the gym and the other bits. Also, like, I don't know, chuck in if you can get to a track, or like Wilco said, break the week up, go and do a treadmill session. You might hate it to start with, but then you might really enjoy it. On the cross training days, go and do something different. Get in the pool if you haven't been in the pool for a while. I would say do biking, but that's a stupid idea. But try and keep it fun. Try and keep the variety in there. Training for anything, any endurance event, is really hard, right? And I know everybody on TikTok makes it look easy, and that's why we do like multiple major marathons back to back, because we're all heroes. But actually, the toll on your body and your mental health is more than you think. And if you're embarking on these training blocks, the impact can be huge. There's a reason why I've given all my runners who've just done marathons weeks off, effectively. All right. We take them out of plan for a reason. Okay. It's to heal this as much as your body. You need to make sure that training is fun so you can be 100% committed to it. Because if it's awful, you're going to hate it. So, Wilco, when you're writing this plan, I want you to take an element of fun and enjoyment and keep it in there.
Well,
right?
I mean, in this process as well, you see, like I've got things that I really want to include. Obviously, I've got my commitment of doing the satellite group, which is a great sort of like, a recovery day. It's not going to be a taxing social run, and I'm seeing everybody and things like that. That's obviously the thing, and also park run as well, because that's a good sort of like 3-mile blast. I can do every week and, see where I am, and it's easy to assess where I am because you look at your times and stuff. So
there you go.
I want to include both of those.
Right. So if Wilco don't PB in Paris, he's only got himself to blame. I think we've...
And the water situation.
Talking of park run, just to finish off, Al, where are you off to tomorrow?
I'm working this weekend, so I'm staying local to Gainsborough. So I'm doing Sonic Farm Park, which claims to be the only purpose-built park run, because they used to run around Gainsborough. COVID hit, and then one of the sites got purchased and they built homes. A local farmer literally stepped in, offered up his land, and he maintains and he cuts and he trims and he prunes and he bakes, all for park run on a Saturday morning. So I'm looking forward to going and meet that crowd, because they have a purpose-built park run. It's all grass, it's all around his farm, but it sounds like he's totally embraced the spirit of park run by jumping in. So looking forward to that, filming that one.
Wilco?
No, I can't do it tomorrow because of work commitments, but we're off to Poland next week, so we look forward to that.
Yeah, big one coming there. Hayden, we love you. Stick with it. I will ring you again tomorrow, just to keep you motivated.
You can always put it on silent, Hayden. You don't have to take the call.
When you get blocks, isn't it?
I'm fine. Joe, it's good. I think everyone's got different camps, different views. For me, not being able to run is difficult, but I prefer watching people, seeing people run rather than not. It'd be easy to turn off whole social media, and not watch anything. Sit there and watch slow horses, watch it all.
There's nothing that I'll tell you now. That's the greatest, third greatest TV show that's ever been on.
I've done them all in the last week. The whole week I've done.
Be fair.
Done
be fair. Be fair. It was good, wasn't it?
It's kept me entertained.
I've told Hayden this, but Chris, what you won't know is I base my coaching philosophy on Jackson Lamb. I'm a bit overweight. I'm a bit old. I'm pretty unkempt. But I kind of know my little bit of knowledge.
I like it.
There you
There's
go.
nothing wrong
Jackson
with that.
Lamb is my inspiration.
Embrace it, bruv. I'd love to see you do an EA course on that. Right, chaps, that's enough from us. Big shout out again to our sponsors and Skechers. Thanks to everybody for joining us live tonight. Thanks to everybody who's taken us out on their run with us. As a reminder, 28th of November, we're giving 4 London Marathon places away and a Bright Marathon place to join us live. That's going to be total carnage. If you're talking to carnage, make sure you sign up for the rave run at the national running show that we're taking part in or taking over on Saturday in January. Make sure. Thanks to everybody. Actually, last shout. Thanks to everybody who voted for us in the Running Industry Awards as well. We ended up getting nominated somehow and then shortlisted somehow. Not really sure what's going on there, but we appreciate all that sort of stuff. We won't win, but just thanks everybody for doing that. I think that's it, boys. Have I missed anything out? I don't think I have I?
No.
All right, that's it. I'm live back again
That's
on
good.
Monday. Watch out for the weekly vlog on Sunday. We'll catch you next week, guys.